and welcome to our very first edition of Terrier Magazine. I'm Nicole Donato-Antonio.
And I'm Catherine Barron, and we are your hosts for today's edition. The purpose of this show is to introduce you, our audience, to St. Francis College community and the people, events, and activities that make our family part of the landscape of Brooklyn for the past 154 years. Terrier Magazine will show you why we are known as the small college of big dreams. Our college was voted one of the most ethnically diverse colleges in America by U.S. World Reports and one of the top small colleges in the Northeast.
For those of you who are not familiar with the college, it is located at 180 Remsen Street in Brooklyn Heights. Our mission as a private, independent, co-educational, urban college whose Franciscan and Catholic traditions underpin its commitment to academic excellence, spiritual and moral values, physical fitness, social responsibility, and lifelong learning is to educate the person for a full relational life, developing the student's talents and abilities to form confident alumni, well prepared for graduate study, for meaningful, fulfilling careers, as well as for collaborative, service-oriented leadership. The college strives to offer ample opportunities for students to immerse themselves in the intellectual, cultural, and professional opportunities afforded by New York City, and to serve the needs of the local community in which they live and study.
On today's show, we feature one of the most popular clubs on campus, the Christian Club, headed by Mr. Denzel Monk.
But first, let's hear from our executive producer and creator of Terrier Magazine, Professor David Gewirtz, in the Department of Communication Arts to discuss our new show. Here is St. Francis's own Catherine Meany with Professor Gewirtz.
Hello and welcome. With me today is Professor David Gewirtz. He has been a professor for 19 years, 18 of them spent here at St. Francis teaching speech, basic digital TV production, advanced TV production, modern radio, and history of television. He is also the faculty moderator of the student-run production crew, Terrier Magazine. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
How did you get your start in TV?
How did I get my start in TV? I've always enjoyed it. I guess it probably goes back to 5th grade, or actually probably before that, when I started making multiplex movie theaters, my Lego blocks. So it probably started back then, and my love for the field has been there ever since. I was the one who would stare at the movie posters and read all the names on the bottom, and it always interested me. So,
What were some of your influences growing up?
Well, I would say probably started my grandmother. My grandmother used to drag me to the movie theater. She knew all the managers in Brooklyn. So what would happen is she knew them. We used to walk in there. Not only did we walk in there, she brought her own bags for popcorn and soda, and that's what happened. So it started from there. And then my next door neighbors, when I was growing up in Queens, every weekend they used to take me to, it started around a 74-cent movie and then a 75-cent movie. And every week we went. Mm-hmm. And I guess my love has been there ever since. And my dad and my grandfather was a projectionist at the old Belrose movie theater.
Oh, really nice. What drove you to St. Francis?
What drove me to St. Francis? Actually, it was in 2 different ways. It goes back over 20 years now, when one of my classmates, when I was in grad school, a guy named Richie Baldemore, an alum, was going to grad school with me, and he said, "Oh, we have a TV show we want to do about missing kids." So he said, "Would you mind directing?" Because he knew I directed. And I said, "Sure, absolutely, I'd love to." And I got to meet Dr. Jackson that way, and things went well. Nothing as far as a job. And then about a year or 2 later, I got a call from a community school I taught at, alternative high school, and they guy who had been working in the TV studio there said he couldn't do it anymore. He was just too busy. And Dr. Satrakian, who was the former chairperson of this department years ago, his wife now, Dr. Grant, he had needed somebody to help him out, assisting him in the TV studio. So I said, sure, why not? I'd been doing this at other colleges. I'll do this now. And as time went on, it progressed. And they said, could you teach other courses? I said, sure. And then I'm here today.
How did some of the courses like modern radio, history of television, how did they come to be?
History of television got its beginning because when I was going to Cortland, one of my professors is who I would consider to be the guru of television, a guy named Robert Thompson. Anywhere you see any quotes about television, it's Robert Thompson. And Bob had a course called Survey Broadcasting where he spoke about the history of television. After a semester there and some things that brought us together, I actually had a chance to TA the course, and I got to find out more about this, and I became very interested in it. So when the opportunity came here at St. Francis, and they said, do you have any courses that you want to develop? I spoke to Dr. Richard Berleth, who is the chairperson, the late Dr. Richard Berleth, who was absolutely phenomenal, great mentor of mine. And he said, do you have any courses? And the first course that I, of course, thought of was a history of television course. And we developed this, and the course has been extremely successful. And we've probably been doing it now for about 15 years. He also gave me a chance to put together another course, Advanced TV Studio Production. So I put that together because I felt that we needed another TV studio class. And again, it looks like I think it was important to do that. And Mon Radio came about because I had some experience in radio, and he asked, could I put together a course having to do with some sort of radio or radio production? And I said, sure, why not? I had no clue what I was doing totally, but I did some research, I looked into it, and I came up with a course called Modern Radio. And I really have learned a lot about it. My students have learned a lot about it, and they've had opportunities to create their own radio formats and do their own radio shows.
Can you tell us a little about the production crew you put together?
Production crew I put together. What I've noticed over the years, and I've always said this, is that we have some incredible students here, incredibly talented students. And I wanted to get them involved in production because this is how I learned production. It wasn't just classes, it was being involved in a production crew. When I was at Cortland, we were part of this club called CSTV, Cortland State Television. And we had the opportunity to put our own shows on public access. So for years I'd wanted to do it here, and our studio had some issues. But finally now we got to the point where it is, and thank goodness students like yourself have given me and made me think that, we have these incredible students, let's put them and give them the opportunity to work on some shows, and this is how it all started.
Yeah, I heard from some sources, I have alumni, that you tried to do it previously and it failed. Why do you think, what made that different from today's?
We've been very lucky. Administration has been very supportive of us as far as getting us the latest and best equipment, and now the equipment is working properly. And I'm hoping that the crew goes well, and this is going to be one of the first shows that we're going to have on the air. So I'm really excited about it. We have an extremely active student body now. We had over 40 students register for the production crew, so that told me there's a definite need for it. And we have almost 20 students every week that come to this production crew, so there's no doubt. I'm really excited about it, and I think that students are excited about it, and the outpouring has been amazing.
I know that we are going to have the news magazine, but also what other shows would you hope to produce with this?
I want to see what the students want to come up with. I think we might, if we get somebody who writes a drama, maybe we'll get a drama going, maybe we'll get a comedy going. There's a lot of different ways to go with this. We had sports shows when I was in Cortland. We had movie review shows. We had a lot of different shows. We even had a David Letterman type show. In fact, the host on his last day of that show actually proposed to his girlfriend. Aww. And so they did a whole nice thing like that. So I mean, there's many different ways to go here, and I think the door is wide open. Yeah. I'm very excited about it, and I think the students are really excited about it. And I think the biggest problem we're going to have is going to be trying to figure out what shows are going to be taped and what shows are not, and that's going to be the hardest part.
Yeah. You mentioned that the administration has been very generous and very supportive. How so?
Well, Dr. Alan Brodowski who has been very, very good at getting us grants. They got us a $1.6 million grant for the studio the way it is now. So we've been very lucky. They've been supportive of me when I've asked them to go to conventions to learn about the equipment. They've been really very good about it and getting us the latest up-to-date equipment to the point where when people walk in, they're like, wow, look at the studio that we have here. Yeah. And I think a lot of students are that way. And I could tell you from the time I've been here full-time, and that's been over 10 years now, our department has grown from a small department to a large department of over almost 300 students, give or take.
would you say that's due to the success of the studio and how?
I would say it has a good part to do with it.
Yeah.
I think it also has to do with some really great professors we have in this department.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. I want to thank you so much for joining us. I know it's not necessarily exactly what you would like to do.
I want to thank you for making me feel comfortable. This could have been very scary for me here. But yeah, it's been great, and I want to thank all the students who have made this so successful, even before we got our first show on the air.
Wow, that's really exciting. I'm so proud I'm associated with this show. The next story will introduce us to one of St. Francis College's most popular clubs, the Christian Club.
Let's hear from Denzel Monk to hear about all that is involved with this club. And here is Shaquila Grizel with Mr. Monk.
Hello, Denzel.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, and how long have you worked in the school for?
Oh, I've worked in the school for over 25 years. In fact, last semester I celebrated my 25th year as an administrator.
Okay, and we understand that you are the moderator of the Christian Club.
Yes, I am.
So could you tell us a little bit of what the Christian Club is about?
Well, the Christian Club is basically a interdenominational religious group that share a common interest of worshiping and serving, learning about God, about religion, about Christ. And we kind of like support each other. It's like a major support system where we help each other to learn about the Bible, to increase our understanding of God's Word, and encourage each other to develop a more spiritual and a more positive representation of what Christianity is all about. So we've been spending most of our time doing that. Whatever we can do to make each other feel grow in their spiritual journey, in a manner that people who see them can see the real Jesus. That's what we're all about.
Okay, and I understand that you guys hold events.
Yes, we do.
And so what are some of the topics that you guys cover?
Well, in the past, we've done a lot of things that were not always topic-oriented. We've had events like Feeding the Hungry. We've gone out and actually fed hungry people. We've had Project Angel Tree during the Christmas time, where we actually brought a lot of homeless children together whose parents were in prison. And we actually had toys presented to them, and we brought them here to the college. So we've had a lot of events like that. We've had gospel concerts where we invited people to come out from all over and really, enjoy themselves in song. And we've actually partnered with people on radio stations to come in and actually have town hall meetings here to deal with some of the issues that were concern to the community. So we do a lot of multifaceted things, but in addition to that, we spend a lot of time having events that will help to cultivate our understanding of who we are as believers and dealing with some of the issues that affect us as believers, because there are a lot of things there are a lot of issues that are different from our own, that we as believers should be prepared to dialogue about and actually prepare a counter response to. So some of our events have been in that vein.
All right, and would you say like it caused any controversy?
Well, yes, sure. I mean, in anything and everything, mostly there's always potential for controversy. Our goal is to minimize controversy, but yes, there are definitely controversy. Whenever you have different views and different ideologies, you're going to have controversy. But the goal of the believer, in my perspective, and our perspective, is that we are trying to minimize the conflict while maximizing the understanding and clarity, and to maintain the highest level of consistency with truth that we can.
All right. How can someone be a part of the Christian Club? Like, what are some things that they need to do? Is there any like certain criteria? Do they have to be religious?
Good question. That's a very good question.
Yeah.
The Christian Club, although we're called a Christian Club and we are a religious club, we don't mandate anyone being religious to be a part of the club. In fact, in our past, we've had many people who came to join the club who weren't even religious at all, but they were intrigued by the whole concept and they wanted to come to see what we were saying and actually ask questions there too. So we're open to anybody. Although the core group, the officers in the club are believers, we don't require the club members to be believers. They can be non-Christian, as long as they're there for the purpose of gaining an understanding and bettering themselves, their character and things like that. So we're there for them. Okay.
So how do you guys go about promoting the club?
Yeah, promotion in this school is pretty. Some of it's pretty similar, but we had to. Normally, you just put up flyers and hope people read the flyers and come to your event. But because that hasn't really worked in the past, we started creating flyers and sending the flyers out to people through the email system, and also creating little handouts for all the club members to have, and they can actually hand it to people and let them know that the events are coming up. So by doing that, we've really had a lot more success in getting people to know about the club. And yet, even with that, there are a lot of students who simply do not know we exist. I've had that happen. So I mean, it's a small, big school. It's a small, big school, and so even in a school like this, no matter how much advertising you do, someone's going to miss it.
Tell us a little bit more about some of the events that you've done in the past.
Okay, well, like I said, in addition to, we've actually went out from the school, we got together as a group, and we went out to Manhattan and we partnered with organizations that fed hungry, and we went to Penn Station and the different large areas where people were hungry and homeless at. We've actually fed them food and talked with them and encouraged them and prayed for them. We spend a lot of time trying to encourage people and meeting the needs that people have. So in concerts here at the college have been a very inspirational type thing. So we had those, and a few times we had concerts that we sold tickets at, we sold out. And we also did a play. We actually did a Christian play that talked about the importance of people who don't know God, how they can get to know God, and how He can help them in their lives. So we do all kind of, anything that we can do that's going to help people make their lives better, we try to do that. So if you have any ideas, we'd be happy to hear them.
Okay. In the events of natural disasters, how does the Christian Club help out?
Well, yes, we have, during the Sandy time, for some reason, I don't think our club was active at that time. For some reason, I think some of the students all of our main members had graduated. But we do, whenever there's a crisis that comes up, we do try to find out whatever way we can be helpful, especially if there's something going on in school here. I try to encourage our club members to get involved with anything that's going on here, especially when it's something that's going to help people. So we invite anyone that's having something at the college, especially if it's something that's going to help people. If you let us know that they're going on, we'll be more than happy to spend our time partnering with you guys and trying to get it done. So that's the standard for us. The Bible tells us that we're supposed to be helpers of one another, and so that's very important for us to do. So we do that. If we can do it, we'll do it.
What are the ultimate goals of the Christian Club?
One of our main goals for this hearing and coming is to help put together projects that will articulate, as I said before, how important it is to understand the power and the intellectual knowledge that exists within the Christian faith. And in fact, not just Christian faith, there are a lot of religions that offer a great deal of intelligent solutions to the human condition. And I think that that's needed today. So what we try to do is be a part of that whole thing, the part of that whole program of inspiring people and helping believers become stronger and more greater examples for what they believe.
What time does the club meet?
Mondays and Thursdays during the activity hours. I think one is 11 to 11:45 or something. I don't remember the exact times, but all the activity hours are the same. So Monday and Thursdays we do meet together. I don't remember the room. I think the room is 5401. The room is 5401 during activity hours. And for our events, you can usually get information from the signs around the building, but it'd be easier just to go to the student activities office and ask for the email contact, how to contact us if you want to be put on our mailing list to know what's going on in the future.
What is the message that you want people or students to know about the Christian Club?
Our core message is that people of faith don't have to feel inferior, because I think there's things happening today. It seems like there's a tendency to look at a person who has belief in God to be a person who doesn't think. They think with their emotions, and they're very emotional, and religion has become sort of a non-thinking idea. And I think that's a big mistake, because some of the greatest thinkers in history have been people of faith. And we try to encourage believers to understand that you can be a believer and not feel that you're not intelligent. You can be very intelligent about your faith, and in fact, that's a very important part of your belief, is to be very intelligent about the way you articulate what you believe and why. And that will help other people to understand how important religion is and how important God is for their lives.
All right, well, thank you for coming today.
So many great things are happening here at the college and continue to happen. It's great to hear that a club is doing so many wonderful things for the community.
As our show evolves, we will learn about more great people, clubs, and events that take place at the college. On our next show, we will meet an award-winning filmmaker and professor and the inspiring editor of the college's newspaper.
I'd like to thank our guest today, Professor David Gewirtz of the Communication Arts Department and executive producer of this show, and Mr. Denzel Monk of the St. Francis College's Christian Club for joining us on the first edition of Terrier Magazine. I'm Catherine Barron.
And I'm Nicole Donato-Antonio.
Check us out on Facebook at SFC Production Crew.
See you next time on Terrier Magazine.